Hi guys, I am back to talk the Real Housewives. Today I want to talk the Real Housewives of Miami, and I also want to talk a little bit about the Kardashians and OJ Simpson because I found out this fun fact today I want to share with you guys. If fun and OJ Simpson go together, it would be a fun fact. Before I get started, make sure you hit that like button and follow so you don't miss anything that I have coming. Turn your notifications on. Please like my video. I want to get started because 5 days ago I posted a photo of LARSA Pittman and Scott Disick. If you don't know who Scott Disick is, he has kids with Kourtney Kardashian. He was also dating Amelia Gray, Lisa Rinna's daughter. If you remember last season, she was talking about it. Anyways, Scott was in Miami and LARSA was in Miami, and they linked up at some point. I don't know if she found him, he found her, or they hung out, but there were photos of them, and I posted it 5 days ago, and I commented on there how LARSA looked so comfortable, and you could tell that Scott was like, don't get too close to me. I don't even know why you're talking to me. I'm gonna get in trouble for this. Like, all these thoughts were running through his mind. You could tell he was really, really uncomfortable. His body language was really closed off. I'm gonna include that photo as my pin. But again, go follow my Instagram. It's worth it. I post tons and tons of receipts there. Anyways, the Real Housewives of Miami, they've been bringing it, guys. I've been seeing tons of posts from Nicole, Kiki, LARSA, Julia. I think Julia and LARSA are fighting. They're definitely fighting on Instagram back and forth. Who else have I seen a lot of? Alexia, she's been posting a lot. She was posting with her 2 sons at her business. But anyways, this blind item dropped, and it said that production is very, very pissed off at a specific Real Housewives of Miami because she has a famous friend whose ex was in Miami, and this housewife did not notify production, and it was not filmed, and when they found out, they were pissed. And their response to it is they've warned her, and basically there is, like, Miami is a hot spot right now, okay? So there's tons of rich, interesting women that they can replace LARSA with. Do you guys think that LARSA is gonna last? I don't think that LARSA takes well to, like, authority or doing what she is, like, told or should do. Like, I think LARSA is very used to doing whatever makes LARSA happy. I don't know if that's something that came after she got divorced from Scotty because maybe he controlled everything and maybe she was just in a really controlling relationship. And so now that she is out of that, she really is just about herself and you know, not really worried about other things, and that is a great you know, characteristic to have. But when you have a job and you have a paycheck and you have a boss you have to answer to, you no longer can do what you think is best and what works best for LARSA. Like, you have to think about the whole series. Like, you have to think about all these other women too, LARSA, that are working hard and they're showing their lives and they're getting up and they're filming and they're trying to make an interesting show for viewers. And then we have you over here who's, like, upset that everyone's mad at you. You don't want to talk about the Kardashians. Like, there's just so... It's like, again, when these housewives come on to a reality show that wants to film your life, you can't have all of these restrictions or you're not made for reality TV. If you can't show us your family, if you can't show us your husband, Gina, just like Gina, we never even saw her husband. We always heard about her husband. I mean, so much so that they had that whole domestic violence at the end of not last season's reunion, but the season before. And we had to watch Gina for several seasons, and we had never even met the kids' dad. We never even saw him. That is not acceptable to me. And you wonder why the Real Housewives of Orange County is, like, down in the drain with ratings. You cannot put all these women on here, call this a reality show, and then them have a ton of restrictions on what they will and will not film. You have to find people who are willing to give you, you know, they're not, if you have cameras in your face all the time, they're not always going to catch you at the best light. You know what I'm saying? If they're in your house and Teresa's got 4 kids, she's got cameras, you know, her and her husband are going to prison. You know, we're seeing everything, you know, we're seeing all of their struggles. We're seeing Joe Giudice ride his bike because he had his license taken because he tried to get a license in his brother's name. I mean, we have seen it all when it comes to the Giudices. And you compare that to other women who are restricted, and it's just not going to give viewers what they want out of a show because it doesn't give them anything to relate to. I know that it's a housewife show and these women are supposed to have a lot of money and flash, but I still think that you relate to certain housewives, you see little things in them that, you know, I think triggers in you a little bit. And if you can't see these women be mothers and you can see them be wives, you can't build that sort of, you know, rapport with their character, if you will. Like, that just makes me feel like you're a fake housewife, because you always want to be seen in, one, the best light. You don't want cameras around if you're having a bad day, if the kids are having a bad day, if you don't feel like talking about this and we can't talk about this, then we have a problem because we don't have an interesting show. I hate that. I really hate that. And since we're talking about Scott Disick, this is a great time to kind of bring in, I'm going to start covering the Kardashian trial right now. Let me know if that's something that you're interested in. China is suing the Kardashians. She, you know, said basically, like, she showed up to work, and they canceled the show on E and replaced it with the, you know, the Kylie show. And China basically said, like, there wasn't a reason to cancel the show. The show was getting ratings. Yes, me and Rob broke up. However, I was showing up to work, showing up to film. Like, I was okay to film this experience, continue to make this paycheck, continue to work with, you know, the network. And meanwhile, these emails come out that Kris Jenner and the girls were actually emailing execs way before Blac Chyna even had an inkling that, like, this was happening. Like, Rob and Khloe and all of them were acting fine with Blac Chyna. They were being so nice to her face, like everything was fine, but behind their back, they were emailing execs and trying to start the narrative so that they could, you know, basically cancel the Rob and Chyna show and bring in Kylie, because Rob didn't want to be seen in a bad light and the Kardashians didn't want to be seen in a bad light. So she's suing them right now. We have her mom going on different podcasts, and she is really, you know, number one, she verified and said, yes, Kris Jenner does own a church. Yes, you have to pay $1,000 to join. And yes, you have to tithe 10% of your tithes. And you know what else she said? She said that Kim donated $10 million last year. In 1 year, she donated $10 million to a church. You know what else Tokyo said? She said that it's called California Community Center. It's like a big sign on the outside of a door. That's what the church is called. And that's not even the door that you go into the church. You have to go down the street and around, and you come into a different building, and it's like an office building, if you will, like something with like someone's name on the door. That's where they have their church services. The pastor is exactly what I said he was in my video a couple videos back. He's a scammer. He scammed his old church, and Kris found him. Fun fact, he actually married Khloe and Lamar. And, you know, he says that Kris Jenner found him out of Starbucks and saved him, and it makes sense that she would seek him out, find him out of Starbucks. He's in a vulnerable time in his life. You know, he's just been turned on, you know, he's done terrible things and been kicked out of the church, and he has a family. And, you know, here Kris Jenner, you know, the devil that shows up, she shows up to save the day, like, basically, come be a pastor at my illegal church, my alleged illegal church, so I'm gonna, you know, funnel money through, basically, is what she said. I mean, I'm just telling you guys, I'm just being 100 about it. If you have a church, it is tax-free. Kim didn't donate $10 million to a church that went anywhere or did anything. They're not even in a building. They don't even own a building. They're in like an office, like a building with like suites on it. So $10 million is a lot of money to give the church and have nothing to show for it. So I don't know if anything will come of that. Probably not. I mean, we know that, you know, for Kylie's Forbes magazine, when she was on the front of Forbes, that, you know, they bloated her numbers, and we ended up finding out that they weren't even the true numbers. Like, they exaggerated them. So this is uncommon for the Kardashians. They're constantly fudging numbers, allegedly, back and forth. But what was really interesting was China describing, like, her and Rob having this altercation and how he was like physically violent with her. But I don't want to talk about this in this video. I'm gonna make a part 2, but I want to know what you guys think and if you want to hear more about the Kardashians. Now, the fun fact I want to tell you guys about was there's like this account on Instagram. That's why you got to get an Instagram, and people send random like photos of famous people if they see them out and about, whatever. whatever it is, little, you know, blind items, if you will. And someone ran into OJ Simpson, which you guys know the rumors that OJ Simpson was allegedly Khloe's dad. We've heard that a lot. If you've ever seen the side-by-side of Khloe and Kris Jenner's old hairstylist, then they're like the spitting image of each other, not even kidding. But back to the OJ Simpson thing. Somebody was on a plane and they saw his phone, and guess what his background was? It was his wedding photo of him and Nicole on the background of his phone. Isn't that strange? That is strange, guys. Please comment and let me know if you guys think that that is a little bit strange. I mean, the man allegedly, you know, unlived her, if you will, and he has her on the back of his phone. Do you guys remember Faye? Remember Faye Resnick? Remember the morally corrupt Faye Resnick? She was friends with Nicole, and the reason that Camille said that she was so corrupt was because she wrote a book about Nicole and their friendship and anything and everything that she knew about OJ and Nicole's relationship, and she published it within like a couple of months of Nicole being murdered. And I think even Nicole's family was upset with her about that, but that's where the morally corrupt Faye Resnick line came into the Real Housewives of Beverly Hills. That's why, because she wrote a book about Nicole and she hadn't been dead that long, and even Nicole's family was upset. So make sure you guys comment, let me know what you think. I'm gonna make it part 2. We still have a lot to talk about, guys. Make sure you follow and hit that subscribe button.